In the beginning, it was definitely, I had a vision of having basically a radio knob for leads, like a machine of a pipeline that would bring the right people to me that I
Mhm.
could turn up, turn down, turn off if I wanted to.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And I also had that vision, and I learned that it's not just the like, okay, let me manifest this month, or let me just like do a big launch, but it's something that you wanted to like have the radio station built.
Mhm.
Not when I need clients, I need to turn it on completely. But I love how you're thinking about like tuning in, right? Just like turning it up and down. And when we connected and we were able to show you our CEO system, were you able to see how if I build it once, I can own the radio station, be able to tune it? Or what were some of the things that stood out to you about the way we think about connecting, engaging, offering, and the systems that we've built?
Mm. I think having quite a bit of business and investment experience before coming in, it all resonated really well. It was really neat to see how you guys tailored it to the coaching approach, and you definitely have a unique approach. So that was very attractive. I think it's also simple enough that anybody, because a lot of people in coaching right now, of course, you see this more than I do, are very fresh to it. They don't have a business. They're probably where I was, where you're living off referrals basically, and we can't guarantee the food on the table by referrals. Like they're nice, they're super cool to have, but we need a system to bring people to us, or put
Mm-hmm.
us in front of the right people. So seeing your system was a cool, clean way to really put all the pieces together in a way that anybody could follow.
Right. Because it's not rocket science. Like, you have to connect with people, you have to engage and educate them, and you have to make offers. But to your point of what's happening with coaches right now, there's just so much noise and buzz and shiny objects that tell you like about the algorithm or about ad strategies. And so you were able to see, okay, this just makes sense. Like if we connect, if we engage and we offer, and then the other thing that I remember, like you even had two-on-ones with Ore and my business partner to say, it's not rocket science. Like I know I need to do those things, but to also help you get out of the things that you know, and even the circles that you were in where, okay, people see me in a certain way. I see myself in a certain way. But I remember having those two-on-ones with you to really think about messaging and think about, yes, you know the basics, but how do we adapt this to you? And I was
Mhm.
actually just talking to your personal brand consultant, Megan, this morning, and
Mhm.
she was like, Ricky just has this way of making it his own, and how, like, your voice and you taking the time to really think about your messaging, of course, with the outside perspective, you made it look easy to just say, okay, here we go. I'm going to take this out and follow the system. But so many coaches, yeah, we get just so many competing inputs, and then we're in our own head, and then we see an ad or something that has us just pulled in all of these different directions.
Mhm.
And I know you have other mentors and masterminds and things that you're a part of. So I'm curious how you were able to kind of keep that clarity and look at the system fitting into not only your voice, but also your business model and your goals.
Mm.
Do you have any insight or like self-reflection on how you were able to take a system and really adapt it for your voice and your goals?
Yeah, yeah. I would say that it's one of the core tenets of my life. Like I just want people to think for themselves and tailor things to themselves. Like anytime I'm in a session and the client says a should, we stop everything right there. It's like we don't act out of should. And
Mm,
if you're listening to all the shiny objects and all the things that pop up, there's a whole lot of shoulds that go through. I should be doing content. I should be doing funnels. I should be doing all these things. And it's like, no, you got to turn that noise off. You've got to apply it to yourself. And so that's why, like the different systems and things I'm a part of, I'm there to glean the wisdom and then apply it to myself. That's integration. So integrating what you teach with the CEO system was, hey, I see the principles here. Now let's just tailor them. You tailor the
yes.
details, you follow the principles.
Yes. And from our perspective, that's the big distinction between thinking like a coach and thinking like a CEO, like having that higher level thinking. And you were already knowing, like, I'm running a business, not a charity, right? You knew that you needed to get out of referrals and really think more strategically, like get that high level view, not just be reactive to whatever comes into you or like comes to you referral wise, but get out ahead of it, think about what that core messaging is. And yeah, that's what a CEO does. Adapt it, make it work, stay agile.
Mhm.
Because I know the other thing for you is there was some iterating. So there was some testing, right? There's some go, take it to the sidewalk, see what works, see what doesn't work. But you
Mhm.
were also someone who was thinking the entire time about delegation, which coaches don't always think about, building a team or building systems that are bigger than themselves.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, you started, I mean, you are a CEO, you have a system for lead gen, but how has this shifted the way that you show up, both to your coaching or to the system? Have you noticed like identity shifts or kind of those intangible things that have shifted for you the last few months?
Mm. I would say it's definitely a more concrete sensation of the fact that this is a business now. It's not a hope and a prayer. It's not a, I'm going to sit down and manifest in the corner all the time. Now, of course we still do that, but we tie that with good principles. And so my vision for my business, aside from having a radio knob, was essentially that if you took a look at my day from what I call the Jupiter lens, if we fly out to Jupiter and we look down on Earth, it just looks like I'm coaching all day because that's all I care to do. I care to be in deep, meaningful conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where my life is today. And so getting to see that come to fruition has been, I mean, there's just a solidifying aspect to that. Like these things do work.
Yes, and it's real,
Mhm.
right? Like, I don't know about you, but we actually have family visiting this week, and my family all come, like, they're school teachers and they work for the government. And I've always had like that, like, is this real? Like, you can't show them your classroom, right? Like, you can't show like the depth that happens in a one-on-one. I love the like Jupiter view. I remember telling my husband when I was just starting, he's like, what did you do all day? And I was like, I was here. Like it can be intangible to
Uh,
explain what it is
yeah.
that you do as a coach. So what does that mean for you to know that you have something real, something bigger than you, something that's a business that you show up and operate, but it isn't all reliant on your energy or manifesting or what's going to fall out of the sky? Like, has
Mhm.
this allowed you to, think about higher, like, what has that opened up for you, having that base of abundance?
Yeah. I mean, having the pipeline that I have right now with the projected numbers I have right now is ridiculous with my time investment. So once things flatten out, I'll have so much more time in my week that I'm going to be able to take on other projects. And I'm already working on some of them, but that's like we talked in the beginning. I am a big believer in multiple streams of income, as we all are. But
Mhm.
this is my passion stream. This is what I'm happy being active with. Then the rest is basically going to be leading or just using money to make money. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of the vision.
Yeah, and to have that clarity, I think, is rare, especially to your point, if you're just new to the coaching world and it just always feels like, I just need clients, I just need clients. Like you are also someone who is like, I have a lot of one-on-one clients. My roster is full. I'm
Mhm.
not looking to just, get a cash injection or get a few people in the door. You are looking to build something that gives you that passion. You can show up, you can coach deeply, you can have impactful one-on-one relationships,
Mhm.
and now layer on top of it things like your community offer, right? Lower ticket things, maybe in-person meetups, maybe passive streams, to your point. And I think so many coaches, they think about those, like, again, they just chase them, like, okay, let me just try a mastermind, let me try a retreat.
Mhm.
And so much of the work that we do is to say, do all of that from a place of abundance. Have your day-to-day, like, that piece in place so that you're
Mhm.
not just chasing your tail. And I would agree, that's just part of who you are. You think in systems, you think concretely, but not all coaches do. So this is why I love getting your perspective on the way you're building your coaching business.
Mm.
Um, and so my next question would be like, what advice would you have for someone who's looking at our systems and thinking, oh, it's just going to be so much more work. It's going to be a ton more one-on-ones, questioning, can I handle what this system could provide for me? What
Mhm.
advice would you give someone who's worried about working too hard or burning out or those things? Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. I think that I'm going to cut through the grind culture piece here. Like, it's not about grinding. Like, sure, especially with the program, there's a lot of things you can be doing, but you've got to tailor it to what you can actually do and what you want to do, or else you're going to become a slave to a business you didn't even mean to build. So, being intentional every step of the way. The other piece is taking it one step at a time. Like, one of the things I've been talking a lot about lately is, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
People are trying to get to self-actualization, and the survival base isn't even addressed yet.
Yes.
So, if you're not solving for cash flow, you need to solve for cash flow. Because if you're wondering where the money's going to come from, the clients are not going to come to you. It's like one of
Mhm.
my mentors says, if you need that client, you need a job, not the client.
Yeah.
So solve for cash flow one step at a time, start getting people in, testing, and
Yeah.
adjust.
Yeah. So well said. So well said, right? Like focusing, like some singularity of focus when you're in the initial building stages is so essential. And I'm someone who like ran from the basics. I was like, oh, I don't need to go and like build all of those like core components again. I can just jump to like the personal brand, for
Mm.
example. And how many people want to put out Instagram reels top of, kind of like being self-actualized, but then you don't have any way that that's going to convert. You don't even know if that messaging is going to work. It doesn't connect to a leveraged program. We don't even know exactly who it's for. It's that same kind of just unsustainable approach.
Mhm.
And you're also someone who I know does not love the Instagram and was not super keen, or even
Mhm.
someone who like ever believed in the go dance on TikTok, Ricky, and that's going to solve your business problems.
Uh-huh.
But again, a lot of coaches do just think about top of funnel. What am I posting today?
Mm.
So, how do you think about your personal brand, knowing you have a business, you have a full roster, but you're different than other coaches because you're not trying to dance on TikTok about it? How do you think about personal brand as a business owner?
I think that's where our conversations around, and anybody listening, this is where we talk about zone of genius. Like, it's going to take some time to trust that that's really where you need to be, but the results will start showing themselves and then it just solidifies. It's like, okay, this is where I need to be. For me, that's not content, that's being in sessions, it's
Yeah,
being in front of people. And I think that you starting with the offer is one of the biggest things, especially for these coaches, because a lot of them don't necessarily know what they're doing. So if you start with your offer and you know what you're going to supply, then everything else, well, as you know, that's your big domino. So you knock that over and everything else starts to fall into place.
totally. Totally. Yeah. I used to, wait for content inspiration at the beach. Like, what's this inspiring life coaching quote I can share? And it's so much easier to just go talk to a client, help them, and then realize, oh, here's what I can talk about. Here are the problems I solve, right? Action
Yeah.
brings clarity.
Hmm.
And coaches have such a hard time getting clients when if we could just focus there, take care of that basic need, then
Hmm.
everything else does become easier. And the way you show up is your personal brand, whether or not you hashtag about it on Instagram, or like Ricky, you show up and you leave an impact after you leave the room. That's your personal brand, how people remember you. And yes, social media are great ways to amplify that, but Ricky knows that like you do that in one-on-ones and you sleep good at night and you live your life. And yeah, anything else on that? Didn't want to cut you
Yeah,
off.
for the testimony's sake, we should say I have never done a TikTok. I haven't posted on Instagram since like the ninth grade. And I think I have like my most recent LinkedIn post is from months ago. So like none of that's essential. You just got to find what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and focus on the making offers
Mhm.
part. Yes, you need to connect. We have software that helps you do that. Yes, you need to engage. Ricky, you book conversations with people and then you make offers. And it can be that simple. And it has worked that way for millennia without
Mhm.
the internet. It's like people knew you existed, you talked to people about it, you made offers, whether you were the blacksmith or the phone company. It's like that's how it's worked. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as, I mean, honestly, I think it's the marketing gurus that have just sold coaches on the lifestyle that forgets about the basic business building blocks. So many just good shifts. And I'm curious if there was anything else that like surprised you about working with me or Ore or Megan, anything you'd have to say about, the support that you received in the program.
Even with the background I had, there is a bit of a solopreneur based trap for coaches.
Mm.
And so the first thing right away, like working with Megan and working with you and working with Ore, was like, hey, I've actually got a team. And that was a really cool experience. So getting everything launched from that place was super powerful. And just
Yeah.
knowing that there were people there I could reach out to and say, hey, something's going on or something's off with the messaging, like it's fantastic.
Yeah. Again, that outside perspective, especially when you're building the bricks to just know, okay, am I doing this right? Does this align with what we talked about? And you had all of that, but you're also someone who you check in, you get the feedback, you work the system, but you now also have this living in your business, right? You're not reliant on us for the software. You don't have to like come and check in with us because this is one of those things that once you build it and you learn how to work the dial and the machinery, this lives within your business. So do you feel like you have that ability now to be able to turn the dial and run this in the way that you had hoped?
100%.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Well, that's the goal. Dream life is real life. Bless
Yeah.
and release is what we like to say about, yeah, the initial, building of the CEO system. It really is designed to have you take it and run with it. And we are so excited to see where it takes you next. So thank you, Ricky, and cheers to growth.
Thank you, Hannah.